6 a.m., 2 patrol cars, my wife in handcuffs, Karen on her porch looking smugger than a cat with a canary. Then Elena showed her badge, and everything flipped. Picture this. I'm standing in my Phoenix driveway in my pajamas, watching our HOA president orchestrate what she thinks is the arrest of the century. The morning desert air carries that sharp scent of creosote and impending justice, while the metallic click of handcuffs echoes off our perfectly manicured suburban street. Karen had called 911, reporting federal impersonation and ongoing criminal activity. She'd even invited Channel 12 News because apparently public humiliation wasn't complete without cameras rolling. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for impersonating a federal officer," the cop announces, exactly as Karen had scripted it. Then my wife calmly says, "Officer, may I show you my Department of Justice credentials?" The badge comes out. Karen's smug grin evaporates faster than water on summer asphalt. And suddenly, the woman who'd been screaming about law and order was about to learn what actual federal crimes look like. But the truth is, this wasn't just a simple misunderstanding. It wasn't even about my wife's line of work. This was about Karen's deep-seated racial biases, the way she saw Elena, a black woman, and assumed she was somehow less than the white conforming residents of Willowbrook. The irony was thick. Karen was accusing my wife of pretending to be a police officer, all while making assumptions based purely on her race and unconventional lifestyle. Elena didn't fit Karen's narrow, racially charged view of who belonged in the neighborhood. What would you do if your neighbor tried to get you arrested for literally doing your job? Just because you didn't fit their narrow view of who should be in a place like Willowbrook? Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from, because this story gets so much better. Let me back up 18 months to when this nightmare started. My name's Marcus. I'm 45, a Navy veteran turned telecommunications contractor who thought he'd found paradise in suburbia. Boy, was I wrong. My wife, Elena, she's the kind of woman who makes criminals nervous just by existing. 15 years with the Department of Justice Financial Crimes Division. She's taken down money launderers, embezzlers, and white-collar scumbags who thought they were untouchable. But to our neighbors in Willowbrook Estates, she was just the black woman who slept till noon. Willowbrook is one of those planned communities outside Phoenix where conformity isn't just encouraged, it's weaponized. Every lawn trimmed to exactly 2 inches. Every mailbox painted regulation beige. Every American flag positioned at the precise angle specified in the CCNRs. The morning air always smells like fresh-cut Bermuda grass mixed with the faint desperation of people trying to maintain property values. The houses were all the same, with manicured lawns and pristine driveways. It was a place where nothing stood out, and that was the whole point. Then there's Karen Hutchinson, our HOA president and full-time professional busybody. Picture a woman who spent 30 years as a bank manager, got forced into early retirement, and decided to channel all that middle management energy into terrorizing a gated community. At 58, she'd found her calling, making other people's lives miserable with the power of bylaws and violation notices. Every morning at exactly 7 a.m., Karen would emerge from her beige fortress in her pink tracksuit, clipboard clutched like a shield, prowling the streets for infractions. The crunch of gravel under her orthopedic shoes became our neighborhood's alarm clock and Elena's personal torture soundtrack. To everyone else in the neighborhood, Karen was a mild-mannered woman doing her job. But to me and Elena, she was a daily thorn in our side. From day one, Karen fixated on Elena with laser focus. See, when you work undercover financial crimes, your schedule doesn't exactly scream suburban soccer mom. Elena would leave at midnight for surveillance, sleep until noon, drive different government vehicles, and occasionally come home wearing gear that could stop a bullet. To Karen's narrow worldview, this could only mean one thing. Elena was trouble. "I'm just saying," Karen would stage whisper to anyone with an earshot. "Normal people have normal jobs. What kind of woman drives a different car every week and sleeps all day? Makes you wonder what she's really doing for money." The implication hung in the desert air like humidity. Thick, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore. Elena's life wasn't just out of sync with suburban norms. It was an anomaly, and Karen wasn't the kind of person who let anomalies slide. But there was something deeper at play here. It wasn't just Elena's unconventional schedule or her high-powered job. It was the color of Elena's skin. Elena didn't fit into Karen's idealized image of who belonged in Willowbrook, and she was determined to make Elena's life miserable for it. This was about racial prejudice, pure and simple. The paranoia escalated when Elena started working a major case involving cryptocurrency fraud. More late nights, more gear, more mysterious phone calls in federal agent speak. To Elena, it was Tuesday. To Karen, it was confirmation of every suburban stereotype she'd been nursing. The breaking point came on an October morning when Elena was conducting legitimate surveillance from our driveway. She's sitting in her unmarked sedan, wearing a tactical vest under her jacket, earpiece barely visible, doing actual federal agent work, professional, legal, important work. Karen spotted her and apparently decided Elena was playing the world's most elaborate game of cops and robbers. The minutes later, she's pounding on my door like she's serving a warrant. "This ends today, Marcus." Karen's face was flushed red against her pink tracksuit, making her look like an angry flamingo. "I don't know what kind of sick fantasy your wife is living out, but impersonating a police officer is a federal crime." She thrust a violation notice at me like she was serving divorce papers. I tried diplomacy. "Karen, I think you might be misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," she snapped. "I've documented everything. The costume, the fake radio, the suspicious cars. She's going to destroy our property values with this nonsense." The notice read, "Violation. Resident engaging in law enforcement impersonation, creating community safety concerns and potential legal liability. $500 per day until compliance." That evening, Elena read the notice and started laughing. The kind of laugh that means someone's about to have a very bad time. 15 years taking down federal criminals, she said. And I get a violation notice for looking like myself. Neither of us realized that Karen's obsession would soon expose crimes that made Elena's case load look like parking tickets. Brenda didn't waste time turning her personal vendetta into a community crusade. Within 48 hours of issuing that first violation notice, she'd scheduled an emergency HOA board meeting and hired an attorney at $300 an hour, no less. The certified letter arrived Thursday morning, thick as a phone book and reeking of expensive legal stationery. My Navy training kicked in immediately. When someone starts throwing legal paperwork around, you better damn well know the rules of engagement. Notice of formal HOA hearing, it screamed in bold letters. Ongoing criminal impersonation violations. The paperwork was a small, calculated war against us. Brenda had decided that my wife, a respected federal agent, was a threat to the entire community, and now she was using her position as HOA president to try and destroy our lives. It was hard to believe how someone so petty could wield so much power, but here we were, under siege by a woman who didn't know when to quit. That same evening, I sat down with Elena, staring at the mountain of legal documents. "What are we going to do?" I asked. Elena looked at the paperwork and chuckled. "She's playing checkers while I'm playing chess, Marcus." She's about to learn that not all games are winnable. And she was right. As much as Karen thought she had us cornered with her violation notice and threats of legal action, Elena had spent 15 years working in federal law enforcement, and this was nothing more than a game of bureaucracy. She had fought far worse than this. Still, I was worried. This wasn't just about us anymore. It was about our neighbors who were unknowingly caught in the middle of a war they had no idea was even happening. Karen's next move was to escalate things further. She called for a meeting, using her title as HOA president to demand that the rest of the neighborhood join her in this fight. But what Karen didn't expect was the support we had behind us. Word spread fast through Willowbrook. There were whispers in the street, behind closed doors, and in the neighborhood Facebook groups. People started to question the truth of Karen's accusations. They had never known Elena as anything but a quiet, hard-working neighbor. How could someone who was a federal agent, a woman who spent her career taking down criminals, suddenly be the villain in Karen's story? Brenda didn't waste time turning her personal vendetta into a community crusade. Within 48 hours of issuing that first violation notice, she'd scheduled an emergency HOA board meeting and hired an attorney at $300 an hour, no less. The certified letter arrived Thursday morning, thick as a phone book and reeking of expensive legal stationery. My Navy training kicked in immediately. When someone starts throwing legal paperwork around, you better damn well know the rules of engagement. We both knew what was coming. I had watched enough courtroom dramas and read enough legal paperwork to know that Brenda had no real case. But I couldn't help but wonder, had she learned nothing in 30 years as a bank manager? This wasn't about embezzlement or some phantom crime she could fabricate with a few strategically placed lies. This was going to blow up in her face. And when it did, there would be no escaping the fallout. Elena, now more confident than ever, had a plan to put an end to Karen's harassment. And that's when the real fight began. If you like this story, hit that like button, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more HOA tales and real-life neighborhood drama each week.